What is Clair Obscur Expedition 33? Well, it's a video game. That's probably why you're here. Imagine if Final Fantasy, Persona and Sekiro had a baby, but it was French. I'm sorry, I actually love France, I'm just legally obliged to say that as a Brit. With a great narrative, dynamic combat and a lovable party of beautifully written companions who... Wait, I just remembered, I'm an antisocial loner. Do I really have to meet up with those guys? Can you beat Expedition 33 without the expedition? Okay, here's the deets. I'll be playing on expert difficulty and aiming to complete the game's main story completely solo, without even recruiting any of the other party members along the way. Skips and glitches are allowed and, in fact, required to complete this, because it goes without saying that avoiding all the companions completely has some pretty game-breaking results. Yeah. Expedition 33's story is a beautiful and heartbreaking ride, and if you haven't played it, you really should experience it yourself. But luckily, by making no friends in this run, I'll be avoiding most of that, because this video is the story of a miserable antisocial human Pokemon with a flower allergy and multiple personality disorder. So if you're watching this thinking, hey, that's not what happens, then don't worry, I'm not media illiterate, I'm just trying to avoid too many spoilers by being deliberately obscure. Are we clear? Let's go! I mean, allons-y!
I'm not sure how to start.
Let's start with this fella, called Gustav. Oh, you want more? Fine, let me give you some background. This is Lumiere, and that thing is the monolith. Every year, a mysterious entity called the Paintress paints a new number in a descending countdown on the monolith, which triggers an event known as the Gommage, where anyone whose age matches the number is wiped out. Every year, Lumiere sends an expedition to kill the Paintress, and every year, they fail. Which is where I come in, as I am an expert in failure. As expected, things don't turn out as expected, and upon touching down on the shores of the mainland, most of the expedition is taken out by a mysterious white-haired old man and his army of bizarre hand monsters, which suits Gustav just fine as he hates people anyway. And here, waking up from what felt like a bad dream, we find ourselves in Spring Meadows, and the game truly begins. Just ahead is the first combat encounter. This thing. These are Nevrons. They come in many varieties and constitute the bulk of the enemies, so this is a good place to briefly talk about Expedition 33's fantastic combat system. On the surface, it's turn-based. During your turn, you can base attack, use a skill, use an item, or shoot your gun like a true eagle-humping patriot. Using skills or shooting costs AP, and you can build up AP by performing normal attacks or parries. Yep, you heard that last word right. During the enemy's turn, you have to respond to their attacks in real time by either dodging or parrying, making the combat feel far more dynamic than a lot of other turn-based games. Parrying entire attack combos will result in a powerful counter hit as well, which is viscerally satisfying. Finish him!
Fatality.
Continuing on down this path would lead to encountering Lune, the first of our obligatory companions. So let's not do that. Instead, by performing a series of very precise jumps on the rock face to the left of the first grapple point, it's possible to reach a spot above the wall collision, allowing you to get out of bounds. From here, you can backtrack and make it all the way to a place where you can jump back in bounds with Lune skipped completely. Which is great because people suck. I treated myself to a rest at the first flag of the run and... Wait a minute. Resting spots that refill your healing flask and respawn enemies? Upgradable weapons with stat scaling? Cryptic NPCs? Dodges? Parries? Trusty patches? This is a Souls-like. Beyond the flag, I also picked up my first Pictos, Critical Burn. Pictos are equipable items that give a bonus to stats as well as a secondary effect, and are essentially how you make builds in this game. I'll talk more on these later, but for now I avoided the optional fight with the Chromatic Lancelier mini-boss in a decision I surely wouldn't regret later, picked up 2 more useful Pictos, and went to fight the first story boss of the game. No, wait, my starter weapon is absolute dog water. Let me fix that first. Let's see. Up these rocks, aim here, swag jump, up and over and across to the blue trees. Where we're going, we don't need floors. Mind the gap, into the blue tree abyss, climb up, I have no idea, and jump across and down to the end of the dungeon. With that nonsense out of the way, I could pick up Empowering Attack and enter the overworld map for the first time. Ooh, cute! Now I'm here, I might as well just make my way to the next area and...
We should camp first.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention.
We should camp first.
Gustav has certain issues, and sometimes he hears voices in his head. And these voices can be pretty insistent.
We should camp first.
Okay, shut up, I get it. Now, I'd love to go to camp, but the option literally isn't available until you beat the boss of Spring Meadow. So, for now, I'd take care of some other business. Firstly, I took on a group of 3 enemies. My damage was pitiful at this point, and these guys could straight up one-shot me with literally every attack. But killing them got me a level 2 Lanceron weapon, which is a big upgrade, as well as enough XP to get all the way to level 5. And whatever this rubbish is. After unlocking 3 new skills, I took on another triple team to check my level. Much better.
It is the year 3000. Baron is still incapable of parrying the Portier's expedition attack.
Okay, let's head back to the meadow to have some boss action in the form of EVQ. I'm pretty sure I nailed that pronunciation. That's the number. What a crazy coincidence. Dispatching a Vec had hushed the intrusive voices, for now, so I could proceed to the next and prettiest area of the game. Flying Waters. It's underwater, but it's also not underwater. So cool. According to my quest log, my goal here, besides assorted combat and item collecting, is to find the next party member at this mysterious hut. Nah, I'm good. By heading back to the entrance and jumping to the right of the portal across these rocks, you can gain access to another out-of-bounds area, thanks devs, which in turn leads to another skip. This one is kinda long and complicated, so I'll link a tutorial vid below, and turning the gamma right up helps you to actually see what la merde you're doing, but the short version is that you can drop back into the world right around... here. With another human being successfully avoided, I could fight 2 enemies new to this area, the Cruller and Brûler, named after those 2 famous French desserts, the crème brûlée and the, brème crûlée? These guys drop a level 3 Crulerum, and I proceeded through the rest of the dungeon, picking up Rewarding Mark, Staggering Attack, Versatile, and wow, this is completely useless. How about another boss instead? No, Gustav, don't touch that! Damn it. Goblu is a big red fuzzball whose hobbies include trampolining and horticulture. This is a pretty long fight solo. Hope I don't choke right at the end. That was just to demonstrate the concept of choking. Nothing to see here. After a solid 12 minutes of parrying, more parrying, some shooting, and the odd overcharge to the face, Goblu skulked off to tend to its flowers, and I could... Yeah. So, the skip we did earlier didn't just skip a party member, it also skipped recruiting this odd job, known as the Curator, despite what the cutscene might suggest. This leaves us with two issues. The first of which, being stuck at camp behind an invisible wall, is easily fixed with some basic parkour. Light work. The second issue is more impactful. By equipping a Pictos for 4 battles, you learn its primary effect, or Lumina, and can equip it separately in the Lumina menu for a point cost. You only get 1 Lumina point per level up, but can gain more by trading in Colour of Lumina items with the Curator. Only, he's not here. So we can't do that until the end game, which means a very limited amount of Lumina points to play with for now, restricting build options. Oh, and he's also the blacksmith, so we can't upgrade weapons either. Although this isn't as big a deal, as certain enemies drop upgraded versions of weapons anyway. Like these guys. Cheers! Jestrels are the cute paintbrush-headed non-hostile inhabitants of the continent. They are also kinda stupid, which is why their hidden arena isn't very well hidden at all. Entering the arena tournament nets you a series of extremely useful Pictos for solo fighting, including, well, Solo Fighter, which you obtain by beating the final competitor, Julian Tinyhead. And if you love delayed attacks, you'll go crazy for his wacky fake-out punch. Ooh, why, you adorable little... Completing the arena also made me pretty OP for the next story area of the game, the Ancient Sanctuary, which I needed to navigate in order to find the Gestrel village at its centre. This area's enemies are the Sack of Patats, or Sack of Potatoes, aptly named because these guys went down like a sack of potatoes when faced with my new Pictos. They're basically the Gestrel equivalent of mech suits, because Gestrels really love to fight, culminating in the battle against the ultimate Sack of Patat. Funny story. Because I never met the Curator, I also never learnt how to jump counter. Some enemies have attacks marked with this symbol, kind of like Sekiro's red warnings, which you need to jump over. But as you can see here in the Goblu fight, I didn't have this option at all, even though I was supposed to by then. At some point, probably after the camp cutscene, the game sorted itself out and unlocked the option for me. Only I hadn't realised yet. So I ate every jump attack to the face like a champ. Still first tried this walking quilt though. This area also contains some good Pictos, like Burning Mark, Energising Start 2 and Attack Lifesteal. So after collecting them all, I proceeded into the Gestrel village. Why am I here? Well, the next step is to cross the sea by befriending the legendary creature Eskie. But the Gestrel leader Golgra won't give me the password to enter Eskie's lair unless I enter another Gestrel tournament. But doing so would lead me to recruiting another party member, so let's just do this instead. Up this rock, jump across, ta-da! Oops, I did it again. Once out of bounds, you can make your way up the architecture of the level, culminating in reaching this spot, where you can trigger the cutscene for the boss fight with Francois, Eskie's next-door neighbour.
Now get off my lawn!
This battle is only an issue if you can't count to 3. From here, I met the legendary Eskie. It's really him, the best NPC ever, who agreed to help by meeting me outside. Let's be clear, Eskie is not a party member. He's more like a big cuddly vehicle, and by mounting him, no, not like that! You can access new areas of the overworld map, including some optional dungeons. Like Yellow Harvest, where I met a new type of Nevron, the Golts. No, I am not good at parrying their stab attack. Why do you ask?
It's easy, and it does a lot of damage.
I could also reach new overworld enemies to fight, including this big lad, known as the Bourgeon, who would become my best bud. That's a French joke that you're too non-French to understand. These guys have an annoying habit of eating one of your party members whole, but that's not an issue for me since I have no friends. Other than that, they are one of the easier boss type enemies to parry, so it's pretty simple to counter them into oblivion. Appropriately, this one drops augmented counter 1, and I could also pick up healing parry nearby, before proceeding into the next main dungeon, the Stonewave Cliffs. Uh-oh. Just like enemies from the previous areas, the Nevrons here have thematic names. Like Hexgas, named after the hexagonal rocks that adorn their bodies, or Rochers, named after the chocolates. Also, these guys. Parry it! Not many pickups of note here aside from breaking counter, so I rested up at the final flag, set up my Pictos for the upcoming boss fight against the Lampmaster, and felt slightly sad for no particular reason. Man. This is the first two-phase fight of the game. Phase 1 is fairly simple. Lampmaster has a few swishy attacks that don't do a huge amount of damage even if you fail to avoid them, and a nice big telegraph jump, because it loves being slapped in the face. It will also do this attack after every turn. You can avoid it by shooting the lamps, but parries are free AP, so why would you want to? Phase 2 introduces the lamps minigame. Lampmaster lights them up one by one, and you have to shoot them in the same order to cancel its ult attack. Aside of that, it gains this super delayed swiping combo, and let the jury know that I could show you an attempt where I successfully parried the last hit, but I lost the footage? Yeah, that sounds convincing. Not the cleanest fight ever, but a win is a win. Lampmaster dropped at Death's Door, which would come in handy during the endgame. Nothing else of note happened, and Act 1 of the game was done. I don't know how exactly, but Gustav evolved into Gustaverso. Or
Verso.
for sure. Won't be needing this anymore.
You're sure to be in a fine haze about now, but don't think too hard about all of this. Just go out and kill a few Nevrons. It's for your own good.
Not impressed.
Completing Act 1 unlocks Esquia's swim ability, which in turn unlocks far more of the overworld map, allowing me to progress a side quest to find some missing gestural kids and get a level 8 Lancerum from a group of grunts. The voices in my head still won't shut up though.
Everywhere we go, we walk with death.
Not only did my recent evolution grant me new skills, it also unlocked a new combat mechanic.
Perfection! Attack to build up rank from D to S. Don't get hit though, or you lose rank again. The higher your rank, the higher your damage. That's totally funky, fly fresh, and radical.
Warning, perfection may lead to unnecessary parental pressure. For now, the Lancerum would be my main weapon of choice, since it has a latent effect that starts you at rank C instead of rank D, which is nice. Upon entering the next area, the Forgotten Battlefield, I triggered a tutorial for another type of attack and counter to watch out for. Gradient counters.
Bring it on.
It's still just press the right button at the right time, but it looks freaking cool. With that done, I could Jesus, Mary, and fucking Joseph. Oh, I think Verso really needs to see a therapist. Besides a few useful Pictos, the main draw here is my favourite boss in the entire game, the Dualiste. Welcome back, Pontiff Sullivan, /Dancer, /Rolana, /Darth Revan, For my Pictos, I went with Energizing Start 4, Enfeebling Mark, and Sweet Kill. This last one might seem useless for a boss fight at first, but it has a hidden 10% damage boost modifier as well. I only had 26 Lumina points, So I equipped all the solo fighter ones, as well as burning shots, marking shots, which pairs well with enfeebling mark, and augmented counter 1. Yep, sums up all my relationships. Now, don't hate me, but it's time to skip the best party member.
Oh, wow.
See, my next objective is to recruit my old friend Monoko from Monoko's station. But by standing in a very specific spot on this girder and jumping in this exact direction, you can get to another out-of-bounds location that lets you clamber over some snowy rocks to drop down next to the exit portal of the area. Perfection. With every recruitable party member now skipped, it was time for a little bit of cleanup. I got my unmentionables handed to me on a plate by a Stalact and friends, picked up a totally useless Pictos, since skipping Monoko prevents you from ever learning gradient attacks, and returned to Yellow Harvest to kill the Glaze and take on the Chromatic Orphalin trio. Fuck the Ladle guy, all my homies hate the Ladle guy. I also killed the Chromatic Abest in Abest Cave for a big chunk of XP. Even though I was now hitting the 9999 damage cap pretty regularly, I still needed to do this flawlessly, as it one-shots you with every attack. And I also took on the Brula and Krula Blacksmiths in order to buy a level 12 Lancerin. Don't mess this one up at the last minute, Baron. And with that, it was time to enter Old Lumiere. Buy some Pictos from the Merchant Mandelgo, trigger the cutscene where Monoko... I said, trigger the... Without Monoko, the cutscene that plays here and opens the path through the area never happens, and the collision here is too high to find any way to bypass it. So, that's it. I'm sure you've heard this one before, but pack up lads, run's dead. Okay, time for a confession. When I started this run, I thought that 2 glitches I would require to complete it still worked, when they'd actually just been patched out. I only realised this at this stage of the run, so rather than ditch the entire thing, I made a very controversial decision, following a community post you might have seen. I down-patched my game. Boo! On Steam, this is actually pretty easy to do by looking up the manifest details on SteamDB. Down-patching to this version would allow me to complete the run. The good news is that if you're on PC, you can do this too. If you're on console, no such luck, but you can watch this vid instead and imagine it was you all along. Ooh. Somewhat surprisingly, this didn't completely break my save file. Big success. With the game down patched, I could now use a glitch called SGA storage to bypass Old Lumiere completely. The principle is simple. Equip or unequip a Pictos to make a save somewhere in the overworld where you can mount or dismount SGA. Wiggle SGA along the edge of this balcony and then up to the top of this building and save again. Reload the previous save, mount SGA, Pictos save, back out while the saving icon is still active, and load in the save on top of the building. As it loads in, enter and immediately back out of the character menu and spam the button to unmount SGA. If done fast enough, you'll load into the rooftop save, but on foot. You can then repeat the trick various times, swapping between SGA and Verso to reach the other side of the landmass, like so. No, I'm not supposed to have the ability to swim through corals yet, just don't ask. The next goal is to kill 2 gigantic creatures called Axons and use their skins as coats. No, wait, and use their power to make a weapon capable of breaking the barrier protecting the Paintress. And probably use their skins as coats. First up is Visage, who just loves its masks. I tried checking its dental hygiene and found myself in a whole new area. Joy Vale. This isn't joyful at all. This dungeon has 3 sub-areas: Joy Vale, Sadness Vale and Anger Vale. And interacting with the masks here will spawn 3 mini-boss fights like this jovial moissonneuse and her 2 fuckboy buddies. Beat them all and it will make the main boss fight easier. In Sadness Vale, there is also an optional boss fight, the Chromatic Ramasseur. Once again, the names of enemies here are thematically appropriate. For example, these guys are called boucheliers, which is a pun on the French words for shield, bouclier, and mouth, bouche. And this little bellend is called the Ramasseur because he loves to ram his weapon up your ass, sir. Little tip for anyone who struggles to parry his mortal hit: watch for the fingers curling. He drops augmented counter 2, and there are also some other good pictos here I'd need for later in the game, like Confident Fighter, Glass Cannon, and Double Burn. No, not you, you're rubbish, go away. At the peak of the island lives Visage. Phase 1 is a little weird. Visage summons a series of masks from its mirror, which in turn trigger different attacks. You can shoot the mirrors to break them, and if you break them all, then phase 1 of the fight ends early, but Visage will finish it with this attack. It is actually parryable, but the timing is so weird that even Fextra Life thinks it isn't. So it's better to just leave one mirror intact and take the entire health bar down to avoid the attack completely. Phase 2 reveals the real Axon, the Mask Keeper. Whilst this fight is fun, it's also just a less memorable version of the Dueliste fight from earlier, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Beating him rewards you with another good Pictos, Immaculate, and... Okay, hold up. Why is a guy I haven't even met yet giving me a weapon I'm not even supposed to have yet? Huh.
Cutscenes with no context.
That was...
Cutscenes with no context.
Don't worry, just because the game got confused and gave me Barrier Breaker after only killing one of the Axons, doesn't mean I wouldn't still do the other one. Sirene, a huge dancing lady. Don't make a snoo-snoo joke, don't make a snoo-snoo joke, don't make a... The majority of the enemies in this zone are just smaller versions of Sirene, and are pretty easy to snipe to death. This Chromatic Greatsword cultist was a little annoying due to its tendency to give itself a gazillion shields at once, but not too bad, and I moved onwards to fight the Tisseur. This is another enemy that, if defeated, makes the real boss fight easier. Not only that, but it drops the anti-charm Pictos. There's no real need for this in order to fight Sirene, as her charm attack is so easily parried anyway, but it does give some great stat boost to health and defense, so worth it for that alone. Beyond that is another boss level enemy, the Glissando, that the game expects you to fight, as it blocks your path. Yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man. After a quick Pictos reshuffle, I was ready for Sirene. Let me be clear, this was only my second playthrough of the game, and my first one on Expert. So if you think this vid is going to be full of super sweaty hitless gameplay, then think again. I actually have no idea how I won on the attempt I did, as I still had more chance of winning the lottery 3 times at once than I did of parrying the full Grand Ballet attack. And I only saw the final phase once and somehow fluked my way through it. Time to edit out all the chokes and string together a compilation of perfect parries so you think I'm secretly Ongbao. Okay, wow game, you don't need to call me out like that. At this point, there was nothing for me to do but buy the pure outfit, because Verso is so pure, and proceed into the monolith to face the paintress. No, really, I hadn't realised this at the time of doing it, but the old Lumiere skip broke my game in unexpected ways, and there was now no way for me to backtrack to the earlier areas until later.
Shoulda fought me when you had the chance, bitch.
Time to put the pain in paintress. Psych, that's just a decoy. The real paintress is at the peak of the monolith, and to reach her, I would have to traverse a series of areas that mirror our path through the game so far. Only, the enemies are much harder here. Luckily, they drop level 15 weapons, which would help. I fought this guy for no reason, battled a chromatic bourgeon who is basically the same as a normal bourgeon, which of course meant I first tried this, found whatever this is, met some exotic dancers,
Bring it on.
and took on the Gargant. This guy's a bit of a tank, specifically this bit. Good thing he drops. Oh good. Choo choo! Next stop, Lumiere. Sort of. This area is swarming with ceramic and gold chevaliers, and let's just say I spent some time here refamiliarising myself with their moveset. Let's not say I spent a lot of time here dying, because that's hurtful. With 50 levels neatly tucked under my belt, I was prepped for war. Remember the mysterious white-haired man from the beginning? Turns out, his name is Renoir. He's here to chew bubblegum and tap his walking stick in an ominous way, and he's all out of bubblegum. This is a fun fight, and Renoir has a full bag of tricks. Pulsing black supernova of death? Yeah, sure. Enough wonkily delayed combos to make Lies of P feel like Morrowind? Yes sir. Comet Azure? Why not? A gigantic electric ghost lion that heals him and attacks you? Whatever man. After a few attempts though, Renoir fell, dropping an extremely useful Pictos in the form of Second Chance, and I was ready for my brush with death. Nearly ready. First of all, I used a recoat to reset my skill so I could unlock Steeled Strike. This attack hits 13 times, meaning it's a great way to bypass the 9999 damage limit in one turn, which would really help as the Paintress has a ton of HP. Then, and this is really important, I exited the monolith and made a save outside the portal to Visage, although any portal will do, making sure it double saved like so. With that done, I set on my Pictos and Luminas as follows and stepped up to face the Paintress. This was by far the hardest fight of the run, and some of her timings are, well, interesting, but it's a lot of fun to learn. Wait, what? What are you doing? Hey, devs, what's the button to parry these feels? Well, there it is. With the Paintress defeated, the number was gone, the world was saved, everyone lived happily ever after. Act 2. Ugh, bloody flowers. Who the hell is this girl? And who my hell is that girl? Big surprise. The Paintress wasn't the final boss, it's actually Renoir. No, not Renoir, Renoir. Guest starring Elden Ring's Falling Star Beast Human Corpses edition. That was a mouthful. With Act 3 underway, I automatically spawned in back at camp. And here's what happens if you try to leave. Everyone who? Okay. Remember that important save I made outside Visage just before the Paintress? Make a save in camp, then load the save by the portal. Load the camp save up, but as it loads in, spam the portal entry button. This save warp spawns the Verso who just started Act 3 inside the portal that Act 2 Verso just walked into. Not confusing at all. Now, here's where the game slightly stumbles. You see, the story hints at a sense of urgency to rush the final boss down. But there's nothing stopping you from just becoming ridiculously OP at this point instead. Which means my third act would be less of a challenge and more a victory lap, cause I'm sick of your shit, Renoir. Speaking of, Act 3 unlocks Esquier's flying ability, which meant I could now access Old Lumiere from the back entrance to deal with Renoir. No, not Renoir or Renoir, Renoir. Duh. Guess I'll see you earlier? Act 3 also gives you the painted power Pictos, which would allow me to finally break the 9999 damage cap and do the big numbers, and the ability to upgrade luminas and weapons directly at flags, which meant that at last I was no longer Pictos intolerant. Firstly, I upgraded my Lancerum to level 19, took it to the Crimson Forest optional area, and killed the Chromatic Gold Chevalier boss here, who is basically a normal Gold Chevalier with extra steps, for a level 24 Chevalam, which I took with me to the Flying Manor. Behind this Bourgeon in the upstairs area is the Merchant Fusoka. You can just bait the Bourgeon to walk towards you and then run around him, before fighting the Merchant and his two lovely shop assistants in order to buy a level 28 Gesam, as well as the empowering Parry Pictos, before heading to the Dark Shores to parry the hell out of Renoir's handymen for my actual weapon choice, the Corpeza. Is this the best weapon for Verso? Not really. Does Verso just want to watch the world burn? Obviously. I also had a large Pictos collection to complete, so I got the ball rolling by returning to Spring Meadows to kill the Chromatic Lancelier for augmented attack, grabbed augmented aim from Flying Waters, piercing shot from a previously inaccessible part of the ancient sanctuary, fought the Chromatic Petanque in the overworld for anti-stun and a truckload of XP. Aside from anything else, this has some great stat bonuses. Returned to the Monolith to fight Chromatic Claire Obscure, hey, they said the thing, for combo attack 2, spanked Sprong for the Cheetah Pictos, and traded in a bunch more colour of Lumina. Oh, yeah, and I almost broke my save file completely. Time to treat the final boss like a minor inconvenience on my path to greatness. Wow, this place has really gone downhill recently. Wanna know how overpowered I am? Well, enemies in this area drop level 16 weapons. My weapon was level 26. Damn, I almost feel bad, but also not at all.
A most enticing challenge.
I made sure to collect a few more important Pictos here as I progressed through the area and made it to the climax of the game. Am I over-leveled for this? Hell yeah, brother. Is Renoir gonna fold like a fake steel chair at WrestleMania? Probably. Do I feel guilty about the fact? Not even remotely. Gommage this, you fils de putain. Well, there we go. That was definitely the actual final boss of the game, the world was probably completely safe now, and I had beaten Claire Obscure Expedition 33 without recruiting any party members. Don't worry though, we're not quite done yet. The game has a number of high-level endgame super bosses to beat, and I'm not one to leave things half-finished. First up, the Flying Manor. To even access the boss here, you need to beat 4 roided-up versions of enemies from earlier in the game. A Goblu who is still just Goblu, a trio of elemental effects that can all take turns to eat my nads, seriously, F these guys, a Lampmaster who I guess should get some sort of participation medal if nothing else, and a dueliste that was harder than the actual main area boss. Challenge runner fights tough enemy, throws fight at the very last second. Many such cases. The boss here, Claire, has somewhat of a gimmick. She summons ghostly Nevrons to attack you, but if you miss a single parry in the combo, she heals. A lot. Not only that, but past the halfway point in the fight, she will summon a Bourgeon that straight up eats you. So I'd need to be able to burst her down so fast that she couldn't do that, because otherwise it's game over. So, just like the Pixar movie Up, it's time to get this build off the ground. This building off the ground? Ugh. Go go Versogun!
Souls on fire, nobody's safe when he shoots. A burning desire to murder anything that moves. Yeah. I never dreamed that I'd meet some neurons like these. And I never dreamed that I'd beat these neurons with ease.
Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. The hardest super boss in the game is Simon, and he resides in Renoir's Drafts. Under the sea. Problem is, to access him, you need to unlock Esquia's underwater swim ability, which you only unlock by progressing Esquia's relationship quest. And because of my somewhat unorthodox activities, I simply couldn't get the dialogue to do this with Esquia. With any of the multiple Esquias. What the hell is going on? However, I figured people might say something if I didn't do Simon, and since my main objective was complete, I straight up cheated, because it's that or no fight. This is the E33 save editor, and by amending some values in the raw JSON file, you can complete Esquia's relationship quest and access the drafts. That's not to say I'd overcome every obstacle though. Simon has the ultimate screw you ability. With under half of his second phase left, he will instantly wipe your entire party. The idea being that your unused party members step in as backup to complete the fight. Only, I am my entire party, so this just means death. So, while I'd love to show you some sweat-filled parry fest, The only way to realistically do this is to go full on damage machine. There are many ways to do big numbers with Verso, but this was my build of choice. Weapon, a max upgraded Corpezo. As with my motto in life, skills are irrelevant. For Numenors, I had a lot of points to play with, so here's the key ones. Damage boosters like all the solo fighter ones, augmented counters, warming up, roulette, inverted affinity, immaculate, etc, etc. At Death's Door and Shortcut would both come in handy, as Simon has an undodgeable lifesteal that leaves you at 1 HP. Next, the gun stuff. By combining things like Marking Shot, Burning Shot, Rewarding Mark, Energizing Shots and Energy Master, you can start each turn by unloading a ridiculous amount of fiery lead into his stupid smug face to rank up quickly and start stacking burn. The Corpezo has multiple burn related effects, so by combining this with the 3 combo attack Pictos and the ones that boost burn, you can build up huge fire damage fast. Finally, some boost to our break damage, and it's time to play Call of Duty Incendiary Edition, because Verso loves playing with fire. Enjoy watching the destruction, and peace out.